What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sharing is Caring. As always, I am your host, Zach Cronin, and today we're going to be talking about Tyrese Haliburton, the Indiana Pacers, and how Tyrese Haliburton, despite being just 23 years old, has already mastered playing point guard in the NBA. As it stands right now, I don't know how many people would say that Tyrese Haliburton is the best point guard in the league because, of course, we have folks like Luka, Steph. I know, however, that Haliburton is certainly up there. I would not be surprised to see Haliburton get some MVP consideration, very much like how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did last season, if Indiana continues to be like an above average team. But one thing that I do know is that when it comes to like traditionally playing point guard, there is no one better than Tyrese Haliburton right now. At the time of this recording, he's averaging a shade under 24 points and 12 assists. He was averaging, I think, like 12.3 up until a few nights ago. He had a stinker against the Magic where he finished with just 3 assists and 4 turnovers. It was a very uncharacteristic game for him. He very much has the potential to be the first NBA player to average more than 12 assists per game while also averaging fewer than 3 turnovers. He's on track to be the third player in league history to average more than 11 assists and fewer than 3 turnovers, joining Chris Paul and John Stockton. He is also one of 3 guys in league history to have more than 30 assists and 0 turnovers in a 2-game span, joining, I think it was Jason Williams and Kevin Porter. What stands out to me most about Haliburton is, yes, his assist numbers are phenomenal, but it's his lack of turnovers, his discipline as a ball handler, his decision making as a young player, which really makes him such an effective playmaker, because we've seen guys all throughout the history of the league average like 10, 11, 12 assists per game. Magic Johnson, Kevin Johnson, John Stockton, Chris Paul, all of these guys were fantastic playmakers, and I don't want to say most of them, but Magic Johnson had a tendency to turn the ball over a bunch. Steph Curry has had his issues with turnovers. LeBron has had his issue with turnovers. Even guys like James Harden. It just happens when you're a high usage player. Russell Westbrook is another one. When you're a high usage player and you have the ball for so many possessions, you're just going to have more turnovers, especially when you are playing within a highly dynamic, a very frenetic offense. But Tyrese Haliburton he just simply does not turn the ball over. It's astounding. It really is just almost unbelievable how efficient he is playing point guard. In addition to not only his numbers, the Pacers are the most electrifying offense in basketball right now. Not only are they electrifying, but they have the potential to be a record-breaking offense in terms of volume and efficiency. At the time of this recording, they are first in league history in both of those metrics with 125.7 points and an offensive rating of 120.8. A large reason that this offense is so dynamic is that they're like a track team, basically. When I watch this offense play, and I really hope this doesn't come off as disrespectful, I see them as a very organized AAU offense. In a lot of these summer tournaments, in a lot of instances where young guys are playing not with their school team, they kind of just go out and play basketball, which can be largely detrimental if nobody understands what their role is and it's everybody just trying to dominate the ball, which happens in AAU because, kids are trying to make names for themselves. But it works well with the Pacers because everyone understands that the offense is going to flow through Tyrese, and it flows. I think to this point, he's accounted for roughly like 33% of his team's offense. Basketball Reference says that he's generated like 308 points off of assists. You add that in with the 250 or so that he scored, you're looking at upwards of 500 points for a team that's scored about 1,500 through these first 12 games. Additionally, because this team is so young, you look at, obviously, Tyrese Haliburton, who's only 23. You have Obi Toppin as well, who's a younger guy. Benedict Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith. Buddy Hield is 31 years old, bro. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I just had an old man moment. But Jordan Nwora, who came over from Milwaukee, 25. TJ McConnell is 31, bro. I swear to God, I have no concept of time anymore. I cannot believe that these dudes are so old. But anyway, I will eventually show a couple of plays to further highlight what I'm talking about. But when I originally sat down to watch some tape on Tyrese Haliburton, I expected to see, and I don't want to say like a more sophisticated offense, but I expected to see like a decent amount of half court sets. Obviously, I knew this team liked to get out and run, but it really is astounding how much of their offense is predicated on just beating everybody else down the court and applying pressure on defense. Transition is a huge part of their offense. Cutting is not a huge part of their offense, but it is a very efficient part of their offense. According to Synergy, they're in the 86th percentile in cuts, which, someone like Obi Toppin thrives in that type of um, system, really just using his awareness as a more experienced player, spending more time in college, this, that, whatever. Miles Turner as well is a huge threat in the pick and roll. And of course, as one might expect, with Haliburton facilitating, Indiana does have very good chances in the pick and roll. In pick and roll ball handlers, they rank in the 83rd percentile. In transition, they aren't as efficient. I mean, they're an efficient transition team, but it doesn't really compare to the numbers I just gave you. They're in the 69th percentile. Very nice.
Nice.
I think it just goes to show how successful a simplistic offense can be, and how, when done right, how explosive a simplistic offense can be. And I've been speculating, extrapolating out Tyrese Haliburton's career. Once the Pacers start to develop a playbook wherein there are actual like actions happening, like multiple actions during one possession, I think that Haliburton is going to explode, because he will have not only his first option, but his secondary option and his tertiary option as well. And don't get it twisted. Just because, they get out and run a lot, and, he makes a bunch of easy passes, he's a very smart player with a high basketball IQ. His assist to turnover ratio is like 6-1 or like 5.5-1 or something ridiculous like that. He's capitalizing on the easy plays. I can tell just from watching him that he studies film intently. He knows how to exist within this Pacers offense and how to best maximize his teammates within this Pacers offense. They aren't, the 7 seconds or less Suns that Mike D'Antoni coached, but there is never a slow possession, or very rarely a slow possession, with this Pacers team. They have the second fewest time of possession in the league. I think their average possession lasts just under 20 seconds or so. A huge catalyst in that is not walking the ball up court. A bunch of the clips that I pulled that I will show you guys, or actually all of the clips that I pulled, came against the back-to-back games against the Philadelphia 76ers, because I felt that that was a good point to highlight this team, because watching it, I feel it best showcases their offense. Also, you have Philly, who is a decent defense with a bunch of star power, including Joel Embiid, who is in a terrific defensive anchor. And there were instances when Philly was straight up bamboozled, beaten down the court. The defense wasn't set, and the Pacers got an easy bucket. I do, of course, want to address the caveat of Indiana's offense, and that being that they give up a lot of points. This defense is ass. This is like legitimately, arguably the worst defense in the NBA. 28th in points per game allowed, 26th in defensive rating. That will have to be addressed at some point, but I think a lot of this, again, I'm looking at it in terms of like a 4 or 5 year plan. I'm not necessarily worried about this year. Everything going forward is about this team continuing to build chemistry, learning how to play alongside one another, which they're doing a fantastic job of already. And you will be able to build a more diverse, a more substantial game plan from that isn't reliable, that doesn't always have to rely on the athleticism of your guards and your wings. And I think that once they do turn down the pace a little bit, they will be a better defensive unit, and also slowing down the pace will add more variability to their offense. At some point in the season, Indiana is going to struggle against elite defenses who know how to protect in transition and have a lot of size on the perimeter. But until then, and I think even when that happens, I don't think Tyrese's numbers will be impacted that much, because there are instances when you watch him of him being able to miss an initial read or not throw that initial pass and then pull the ball out and start with something new. Another thing is that when you watch a lot of the cutting action with the Pacers, particularly with Obi Toppin, they're initiating those cuts at like with 20 or 19 or 20 seconds left on the shot clock. So if that initial cut isn't there, there is plenty of time to institute a set with legitimate action, run a pick and roll, look for Miles Turner in the post. So there are ways that Rick Carlisle is building off of this transition attack, but the transition aspect of it is just so explosive that you should be relying on it right now. First play I want to show you. This is off of a made basket, by the way. Look at how Indiana is jogging the ball up the court. If we freeze it right here, there is one defender for Philadelphia, not only inside the three-point line, but below the free throw line. And they're over here on the weak side corner, I guess you could call it. 4 Sixers are looking at Tyrese Haliburton. He has the attention of 4 defenders. This is, like, yes, this is undisciplined basketball, but this is also the result of applying pressure on the defense. And he wasn't even sprinting down the court. So you have Rocco and Patrick Beverly. I believe this is not really blitzing Haliburton at half court. And then Nick Batum, Joel Embiid right here. But all 4 of these guys failed to pick up Miles Turner, who just slides behind the defense. Joel Embiid recovers nicely and attempts to cut off the layup, but a slight little pump fake by Miles Turner, and it's a relatively uncontested layup. But this is the part that makes Haliburton such a fantastic floor general, is his ability to command the attention of the 4 guys in his immediate area. When you're trying to manufacture these types of points on offense, you have to force the defense into making mistakes. This is another instance of quick hitting action in semi-transition. So obviously, Tyrese Haliburton is bringing the ball up. You have Obi Toppin right here. Tobias Harris is Toppin's man. Nick Batum is on Haliburton for right now. You have Tyrese Maxey over here. And then little brush screen set by Miles Turner, just pretty much standing in the way of Tobias Harris. Joel Embiid is sagging a little bit far off. Him and Harris are responsible for figuring out what the fuck is going on with this coverage. Are they going to switch and Joel Embiid is going to come up to prevent any potential cut to the action? Are they going to stay? What are they doing? They have no time to figure this out. 4 seconds, you guys can't see it because of my face cam, but 20 seconds is on the shot clock right now. This action began within 4 seconds of the ball being inbounded. So Philly gets lost on this screen. Don't know. Again, like I don't understand the lack of communication, the lack of discipline from Philly here. But Embiid is once again ball watching, and the anticipation from both Toppin and Haliburton it's remarkable. It's like these guys have been playing together since they were in high school, with how easily and how quickly they can connect on exchanges from one another. Like Toppin puts his hand up and the ball is on target, easy reverse dunk. Like Embiid cannot recover on this because he has to turn his hips entirely. That is a huge thing when trying to beat your man off the dribble on a cut. If you can get them to turn their hips, you've effectively won, which is why if you're looking to attack off the dribble and the defender is shading you one way, if you're able to beat their lead foot off the dribble, you're going to gain that necessary advantage, because most guys are not able to turn their hips around that quickly, especially if they're a bigger guy. I mean, Embiid is certainly not a small defender, and he gets dusted, man. He just straight up gets dusted by Obi Toppin. I didn't realize this, but I have 4 clips. I've showed you 2 clips. I've got 2 more clips to show you guys. 3 of them are Haliburton to Toppin. We have a scrum for the basketball. Okay, everyone trying to get their hands. This is a play-in game, by the way, so this is also, I feel, a little bit better because I don't know if this is I don't know if this is anecdotal or something, but maybe guys are taking the play-in games a little more seriously. I personally think that the designs on the court are horrible. They really make my eyes hurt, the non-wood colored paneling, but whatever, I'm getting off topic here. So keep your eye on Haliburton right here, currently a few feet above the top of the key. Ball is saved inbounds by Robert Covington. I believe that was. He tipped it to Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese does it. The other Tyrese doesn't get it. So stop it right here. Half court, 3-on-1. It is very difficult to fuck up a 3-on-1 fast break. It is possible. However, the biggest thing is you, as the ball handler, have to see what the defender does. You have to see if the defender commits to stopping you or stopping the pass. Generally, if the defender sags back to take off the pass, you go in for the shot. If the defender comes up, that's when you dish. Tobias Harris hasn't made a decision quite yet. Now, this is a very subtle no-look pass from Tyrese Haliburton, but it really shows the power of an effective ball handle. He notices that Tobias Harris has yet to commit to anything. So what does he do? He forces Tobias Harris to commit. A quick glance at Benedict Mathurin forces Tobias Harris to not even commit to his right, shade over to his right. And that shade allows this easy pass to go to Obi Toppin, who collects an easy finish in transition for a super athletic win. But again, watch this back in full time because this all happens in less than a second. So from the time how it's literally like 2 dribbles, and that play is over with. The quick decision making from him at this age it's remarkable. Now I have one final play for you guys. Haliburton to Toppin 3 is this file name. Admittedly, this play isn't like super spectacular or anything like that, but once again, it is a good example of forcing the defense to react how you want them to. When you're the ball handler, or even when you're the defender, the whole point of matchups in the NBA is for one of these parties to be the dominant party and dictate what the other party does. Think of it like if you're guarding Steph Curry in the pick and roll. You know that most likely Steph Curry is going to bust your ass all game long. But you can still make that ass busting, that ass blasting, a little more manageable by going over the screen, for example, instead of going under, because we know that 3 points is greater than 2. 3 threes is 9 points. 3 layups is 6 points. If you're the screener, you want to do everything in your power possible to force that defender to go underneath. Or if you're Steph Curry, you want to do everything in your power to get the step on that defender and to create as much separation as possible. Good defenders, guys like Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert, and more so perimeter defenders, but guys like Draymond Green will influence the offensive player by disguising coverages, not being too overcommittal on anything. I forgot who the fuck was I talking about? Oh, it's when I did my video on Chet Holmgren. One thing that really stood out to me about him was that he doesn't overcommit to help in any way. He plays within himself and gives him that leeway to go back and forth between multiple players inside the paint. So we're going to go ahead and watch this pick and roll featuring Tyrese Haliburton and Obi Toppin. Now, this is one of those few instances where the ball is not really being hustled up the court. But again, later in the third quarter, I'm sure Haliburton has probably played this entire quarter. I didn't check the numbers on his minutes, but one could imagine that, they're looking for some active rest. This action is starting at about 18 seconds compared to 20 or 21 like the last one I showed you. So we have a rejection of the screen right here. Now, Patrick Beverley is a very good defender, very smart defender. He should in no way, shape, or form be trying to reach for this ball on Tyrese Haliburton. You need to know that as a defender, You're dealing with an elite scorer, an elite playmaker. You do not want to compromise your defense. He's compromising his defense by letting Haliburton get into the paint when Marcus Morris is the last guy on defense. If it were Joel Embiid, it'd be a little bit different, but Marcus Morris is not a great defender. Now, we get past the steal. No one's coming over to help. DeAnthony Melton is not rotating over. He's glued to Bruce Brown in the corner. They are effectively leaving Marcus Morris on an island. Now, there is a little pump fake that Haliburton throws in here. Not a pump fake, but like a little fucking fake shovel pass that freezes Marcus Morris. Once you freeze as a defender, it's a wrap. Straight up. If your defender freezes at any point in time, if you're a young player and you notice that your defender is indecisive, you have won the situation. It is now your battle to lose. Now, there are multiple things that Haliburton could have done here. He could have went with the floater, but he's a little off balance. I could tell just by the way that his feet are. I could tell just like by the way his hips and his shoulders are. He's off balance. It wouldn't be that great of a floater. So what do? Obi Toppin is in perfect position to catch, gather, and go up for a layup. And that is exactly what happens. Now, it is a great finish. There was a very commendable effort on the weak side by Joel Embiid to attempt to swat this. But you've already been compromised. That's like the whole thing is, can you as the offensive player put the defense in a precarious situation? And Tyrese Haliburton does just that. I mean, there should be like multiple dudes converging. There should be multiple dudes converging on this play, but instead, like Obi Toppin is left open. There isn't even a hand in the passing lane. Like this pass gets through and no one puts anything out. It's just it's a very strange way to defend that type of possession, but that's going to happen from time to time. And there were a couple plays I showed here. Yeah, I admit that a bunch of these plays that I showed weren't, the best defensive efforts, but if you can win the easy passes, you're looking good, man. If you can get in there, I don't even know where I was going with that sentence, but if you can complete the easy pass, you don't have to do anything extravagant on offense because the easy play is going to be there more times than it's not. You don't need to overcomplicate anything. Something that I didn't touch on at all is what makes Tyrese Haliburton way more effective as a passer is that he is a dude that you have to guard 30 feet from the rim. That is a huge portion of his game. It's, for one of those reasons why a very, very good passer, someone like Ricky Rubio, for example, never reached like this level, even though I would consider Ricky Rubio to be like in terms of game management, in terms of ability to pass on the same level as Tyrese Haliburton. It's just that, again, Tyrese is a dude who's averaging 24 and 12. Like, you have to guard this dude. So I don't want that to get lost. And he's also like a very efficient high volume 3-point shooter. So that's hugely beneficial to both him and the Pacers as well. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring this video to a close. Thank you guys so very much for coming to hang out with me today. As always, everything I'm associated with is down in the description box below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Drop a comment as well. It really helps out with the algorithm. And with that, I'll catch you all in the next one.